Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of King Dio, Eye of the Dragon, Rabbit Hole, and Cruel and Beautiful. I recently came across a really interesting blog post from Sean Malmstrom, who was going over a post from a former Blizzard developer who's become kind of notorious online for talking about the declining work culture at Blizzard Activision and how the company has sort of lost their way over the years. It was a really interesting read because I think it's becoming very apparent that Blizzard management is becoming aware that they're not top dog anymore. The past decade has kind of seen them going from being the undisputed champion of the MMORPG world with World of Warcraft and being able to basically do whatever they want with their IPs, from forcing in microtransactions and mobile games to a always online play, just constantly. They really did think for the longest time that they could consistently just make these poor business decisions, make these poor releases, continue ruining all of their beloved IPs, and continually get away from it just because they're Blizzard, just because they're too big to fail. That's the really interesting part about this, because I don't give a shit about Blizzard. I never did. I always thought they were hacks. They haven't been good since the original StarCraft, but since the original StarCraft came out on the N64, I should say. But Blizzard they were a company that legitimately believed that they were too big to fail. And what happened? They failed. They're beginning to fail. Their company, the business they had built for them by highly skilled, talented white people is being ruined by diversity and women. This is the case with all sorts of companies from all sorts of in all sorts of fields. But it's interesting to see this happen to a specific company, to see it happen to Blizzard, because here they are getting blown the fuck out by their competition. Overwatch is getting destroyed by Splatoon. Final Fantasy XIV is being destroyed by World of Warcraft is being destroyed by Final Fantasy XIV. They're losing ground, and their mobile games aren't all that popular. They're being forced to just they've had all these major controversies over the years. This is a company that clearly isn't competing, that it clearly isn't viable in the marketing space. And what are they doing? What is their management focusing on? Oh, we're focusing on sexual harassment and rape claims. We're focusing on making women in our workplace feel comfortable. Why aren't you focusing on making better games? Where are the games? Even as a casual, observer, someone who doesn't care about Blizzard, I know there haven't been games. Why are you making such a big show about diversity and inclusion when you can't even produce a fucking Diablo sequel? You know what I mean? StarCraft 2 was unpopular, right, for the longest time. It's just, well, it is still unpopular, I should say. Nowhere near as well regarded as the original. What are they doing over there? And the short answer is, they don't know. They have no idea how to make games good. They have no idea how to make money off of them. These people are parasites that simply latch themselves onto a successful brand and are just using it to further their own careers and egos. That's what this is all about. They have no idea how to really make video games. You know what I mean? And this is kind of been an observed phenomenon in a lot of other companies. I think I've talked about Ubisoft and how Michael Ansel. I actually kept meaning to make a video about this in particular. I never got around to it, but Michael Ansel actually left Beyond Good and Evil 2's development because all the people he had working under him didn't want to contribute, didn't want to do any actual work. They just wanted to reuse a decade-old assets from Assassin's Creed. They didn't want to make anything new. They didn't want to make anything exciting. They didn't have the talent or the worth ethic to really make it happen. It's the same across all of these Western game companies. It's a major reason they haven't produced anything good in legit since probably the early 2000s. It's a legit why they can't get anything off the ground. It's legit why any serious game enthusiast is almost always pro-Japanese, are Japanese supremacists, basically, who acknowledge the Japanese as being the superior creators when it comes to this specific art form. because like they actually have talent. They actually like value their creators. They actually can put out games on time. They actually like make changes. They actually make adjustments. They'll actually like listen to their fans. Like they'll listen to their audience. Now that isn't always the case, but like it's not like to the severe just blind, the sort of bubble that the Western game sphere is in, where like they're kind of surrounded by university educated people who all believe the same Marxist nonsense that they do. So like there's no real conflict in the political sense. But what that means is that like people are getting hired because of their political affiliation or their status, like in the Oppression Olympics, rather than like their actual skill or talent. Like we keep seeing this over and over again in any industry, right? Where you keep seeing perfectly good, viable white men passed up for diversity, like in favor of diversity, even though like the diversity, particularly women, don't offer any real contributions or skills to the company in question. We keep seeing this over and 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 over again, and in all sorts of fields. But it's really, really starting to wear Blizzard down to the point where like I don't think the brand is going to have much value in the next couple of years. Like you have a handful of people who grew up with them who are like fanatical about Blizzard, but what these statements show about Blizzard's declining work culture is that like more and more people are becoming disenchanted with them. More and more people aren't happy about what's happening to the company. More and more people are getting upset at this video game company for not producing video games. And those people are eventually going to take their money elsewhere. They have been taking it to Final Fantasy XIV. They have been taking it to Nintendo consoles. They have like stopped playing Overwatch, stopped pretending that Overwatch was ever good, and have moved on to other better, more exciting projects, because Blizzard is not that special. Like it is not too big. There is no such thing as too big to fail. Like if you keep consistently putting out bad products, if you keep making poor decisions, if you don't respect your employees, eventually, in some way or another, it is going to come back to bite you. And in Blizzard's case, that is well on the way to happen.